This is question number 9 on the June 2015 calculator paper. Question number 9 says, the frequency table gives information about the number of emails sent by 51 teachers on Monday. On the grid below, draw a frequency polygon of this information. So once I've seen the information, or the fact that the question wants me to draw a frequency polygon, I should know straight away that I need to plot the midpoints of the groups against the frequency and join them up with straight lines. And that's pretty straightforward, but you just need to make sure you know that fact. So I'm going to first of all find the midpoints of the groups. The midpoint from 0 to 10, halfway, is going to be 5. You can add the two values. 0 plus 10 is 10, divided by 2 gives you 5. Halfway between 10 and 20 is 15. 20 to 30, the midpoint is 25. 30 to 40, the midpoint is 35. And 40 to 50, the midpoint is 45. Okay, so we've got the midpoints. I'm going to plot those against the frequencies. I'm going to use a pencil and a ruler, and the graph is below, so I'll move between the graph and the table to show the information. If I have a quick look at the graph, this scale here, 0 to 10, there are 10 tiny squares, so each of these values is 1 unit. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. From 0 to 5, there are 10 tiny squares, so every 2 squares is going to be 1 unit. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Make sure you understand the scale before you start plotting the points. So going up to my graph, I have a midpoint of 5 and a frequency of 5. So back to the graph, the midpoint is 5. It goes up to 5 here. If I put a cross, that's my first point. Midpoint being 5 and the frequency is 5. Come back downwards, I have a midpoint of 15. The frequency is 17. So going up to the graph, the midpoint is 15 and that goes all the way up to 17. So here's 15. Remember, every 2 units, that's 16 and that's 17. The next one, the midpoint is 25 and the frequency is 14. So going across and up, 25 and then up to 14. So if I go 15 and down 1 unit or 2 tiny squares, the next is 35 and that has a frequency of 9. I'm going to do a similar thing from 10. If I come down 1 unit, which would be 2 squares, and then finally 45 goes up to 6, which is 5, then up 2 squares to 6. So there are the points of my frequency polygon. I just need to join these up. And remember, use a pencil as you're doing this. If you make an error, you can make necessary corrections. Join these with straight lines. It's not a line of best fit. It's definitely not a curve. And there you go, have it. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. Make sure you are able to do a frequency polygon. It's a technique and a method that you should be familiar with, right? Looking at part B. Okay, so looking further at this question, it said, Nalini says at least a quarter of these teachers sent more than 30 emails. Okay, is Nalini correct? You must explain your answer. So, one of the things that I definitely picked up in this question was in the very first line of the question, they said to us that there are 51 teachers altogether. But given that there are 51 teachers altogether, when we work out our fraction, right, we need to think about how many teachers there are altogether. At the same time, she said at least a quarter of the teachers sent more than 30 emails. So if I went back to my table at the top, how many teachers sent more than 30 emails? Okay, so 20 to 30, now that's less than or equal to 30, so these aren't included. However, the people who sent more than 30 emails are going to be in these two groups. That's those 9 and 6 teachers. So 9 plus 6 teachers sent more than 30 emails. That's 15 teachers sent more than 30 emails. Okay, so I need to do 15 divided by 51 because there were 51 teachers altogether. And if we do that, 15 divided by 51, that gives us 0.29. Okay, now remember, a quarter is 0.25. What I could tell from this is 0.29 is greater than, is more than 0.25. So let's answer the question. Is Nalini correct? You must explain your answer. Remember, this question has a star next to it, so I need to write a sentence. And I'm going to write, yes, Nalini is correct. At least a quarter of teachers sent more than 30 emails. Okay, I've tried to give a complete answer there. All right, and remember that because there's a star next to this question, right, you do need to write a sentence. The 51 teachers, we picked that up from the very first line of this question, all the way at the top. Okay, all of these numbers are useful. You do need to make a mental note of the information that you're given. That's why it's useful to underline the information as you read through it. Do take your time in this question. It is a pretty straightforward question. Drawing the polygon, the frequency polygon, as well as answering part B, you should be able to get all the marks in this question.